Ladies, gentlemen, and that technicolor rainbow in between, welcome back to the Nut House. It's your boy Anime. First of all, before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's video, let me first give a shout out to all my new subs. My cringe comic reads video from last year about I'm Not Starfire. Looks like the algorithm finally decided to act right and start sharing it to people. Or I guess maybe somebody shared it on Twitter or Facebook somewhere and it got a lot of traction. All I know is at the beginning of the month, it was just over 1,000 views, I think. And now it's over 20,000 views. And I've gained at least a couple hundred subs from that video alone. So thank you everyone who subscribed to me. Welcome to the Nut House. Enjoy your stay. You don't get to leave. And since I do have some new subs here, I do have to let folks know that I am currently working on my own original comic books, The Spider's Circle, which is a fantasy adventure story, and Bond of the Blade, which is a shonen anime/manga style action story. That's who all these characters are from in the background here. And I even have a whole playlist with promotional material about them. Scroll through there, check it out. And before moving on to today's video, I do have to highlight one comment in particular from my last video where I asked you guys to give your own hot weeb takes in response to mine. Hey Arnold points out that in his opinion, seinen manga are overrated. Now, full transparency, I'm more familiar with anime than manga, but I would say that regardless of whether you're talking about an anime series or manga, I can imagine a lot of people taking issue with this. I mean, weeb elitists are a whole different type of elitist. We've heard this take about how Dragon Ball and all that is just, it's dreck. It's like pleb anime. And I'm like, no, this shit is hot for a reason. I think there are actually a large amount of great seinen titles. But at the same time, the world kind of revolves around shonen and shoujo. And with that being said, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video, which is me sending the entirety of leftist Twitter into a full-blown triggeration. Those of you who've been subscribed to me for a while, you know how I feel about Kamen America. It is absolute fire. It is the shit and the urine. They just released Volume 5. They had a Kickstarter for that, very successful Kickstarter. It made, I believe, over $147,000. They're gonna do another one on Indiegogo soon. You can follow them on Twitter. They're very personable, friendly people. They love interacting with their audience. I've had them on this channel. I'll probably have them on again at some point. They're dope people writing one of the dopest stories I've ever read in my life, and it's awesome. So when I saw this thread that asked who was people's favorite comic book character or superhero who's not from Marvel or DC, of course I talked about Kamen America. And of course I could have given some of my other heroes that I've liked for a little bit longer, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Invincible. But in terms of things that I'm actively consuming right now at this moment, Kamen America is at the top of that list. And as you can see here, for those who are uninitiated, the Kamen Corps, which is just the main heroine team, they're scantily clad in tight outfits a la magical girls, of the Sailor Moon variety. This is obvious. Everyone looks at this and knows what's going on. This is clearly a fun comic book that draws a lot from the anime/manga art style. They're clearly leaning into the sex appeal of the characters, but that's not the point of the book. You might look at it and say, oh man, they look fine. I need to read this. I want to see what else is in there. But you don't stay for the cheesecake. You stay because you love these characters, because they're written so well. You love their personalities, their journeys, their struggles. The fight scenes, it's just great art in general. That's why you read the book. So yeah, that happened. And because I posted this in a quote-unquote normie thread that was about comic books, that means there were a lot of folks in the thread who, particularly they were the type who hate anything that isn't specifically tailored to them and revolves around them and reflects their own tastes and their own identity. So if you have anything that's patriotic, that's bad. If you have any characters who are explicitly Christian, they hate that because Christianity bad. And don't you dare have no sexy ass women up there, because you know what that means? That means you're a coomer. That's right, you're a coomer. You're a coomer. If you make art of sexy women, you're a coomer. If you like art of sexy women, if you are a woman and dares to be stacked or have any of your body showing at all, then you're just some evil little pick-me. That's obviously what you are, right? I love this. I love this attitude so much, guys. it ends up having the same exact result as when the religious right was the ones in power and they were dominating the culture. It has the same result, but it just looks different. So instead of scantily clad women being problematic because it offends Jesus, quote unquote, it's bad because it's problematic and it's coomer bait, but it ends up coming down to the same place, which is female bodies bad. So this crowd, the coomers, got me, and then also I got called a coon too, because they can't not all do the same thing. That hive mind will not let them think as individuals even long enough to come up with an original insult. So I'm a coomer and I'm a coon. So I start calling these people the Coomer Coon crowd, because every single time something like this happens, they cut a monkey, they start acting up, and it's the same thing. You're a coomer, you're a coomer, you're a coomer. Oh, you like a white character, you're a coon, you must be a coon, you're cooning. They called Tim and Mark Comicsgate, which that's hilarious. Let's just say right now, if there are any independent creators out here who are specifically not Comicsgate, it's Mark and Tim. And that is not a shot to anything going on in Comicsgate. They're just not Comicsgate. But these people have the combined brain capacity of a burnt out crack pipe. And so whenever they see someone who has anything in common with the Comicsgate crowd, they label that Comicsgate. Oh, you're calling out quote unquote woke culture? Oh, you must be in Comicsgate. Your heroes are white? Oh, Comicsgate. You're patriotic? Comicsgate. You're white yourself and you make comics? Obviously Comicsgate. Even though Timothy Lim is literally Asian. But whatever.
It don't matter. None of this matters.
All I did was tweet 3 words and 2 very tame pictures. And I love how these people lost their ever-loving minds, all because someone dared to appreciate some art that they did not like. If you don't like this particular art style, that's fine. If you don't like the story, that's fine. But lying and saying it's a CG hate book or made by right-wing bigots, and basically calling me a bad or failure of a black person because I dared to like this stuff. Yeah, you know, obviously I don't care for that stuff. Folks started like really harassing some of my mutuals, and those individuals can all go fuck their faces until the heat death of the universe. I want to close this out on something a friend of mine said in the thread. Awesome creator by the name of Squid Mama Art, she goes by. And at one point, I need to get her actually on this channel because your girl is long-winded just like your boy. And we both need to just sit down without a 240 character limit and just go in on something, okay? But she made a great point, basically said, they always do this stuff. They always pitch a fit whenever someone brings this stuff up, this kind of art up, and they go really hard when it's a black person. I hate when black guys love this. I don't know, maybe it's triggering something in because they think that black guys are fawning over white women. I don't know. The way these people think changes every second on the second and yet doesn't change for 1,500 years. It's the same thing. But they do all this stuff. They fling shit left and right. Talking about coomer this, coomer that, go watch porn, go read porn. But they can't stand the fact that someone dares to like something that they don't like, and they have no power over that. They have no way to actually control what people read and love. If you notice, every time these faux diversity people, these far left ideologues get into something, there's almost never a property that caters to what they want and also is just good and people just like it. The only example I can think of is something like Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beast, which I've talked about a little bit before on this channel. It's a great show that was on Netflix. Great story, real imaginative, just fun, and really heartfelt. It also had some more progressive themed characters, I guess you could say, and it had a very diverse cast. The difference though is Kipo never claimed to just be that or to lead with that. It let the dopeness of the story and the fun lead the way, and it just happened to include a very diverse cast, and it had some sort of progressive, I guess you could say, tropes in it, but it never overpowered anything, you know, so it was able to just be good, and so people loved it. They don't stand for that. They don't stand for the good stuff that actually does what they say they do all the time. They stand the stuff where it's super manufactured. That's why I call it faux diversity. Taking an existing character and palette swapping them to a quote-unquote marginalized group. Oh no, they're queer now. Or oh no, they're black now. That does not make it diverse. It does, but it does so in the most superficial way, which is very insulting to people who have loved this stuff forever, as it is, including members of that very group that you claim you're trying to represent. But this is what these people need to do, because they're not out here genuinely trying to change the way groups are portrayed or make sure everybody quote unquote feels seen. They're not here to genuinely and organically grow fan bases, which is also why they never take the route of just making their own stuff. The handful of times it does, it always bombs, because no one wants exactly what they want, because they don't care about storytelling, they don't care about making good characters, making you invested in them simply by you watching them over time and learning about them and loving them. That is how characters work. That's how most humans work. The only people who don't get that are these troglodytes, the Coomer Coon crowd, the people who think that if a black guy likes a white character that he's a coon, the people who think if you like a sexually attractive female, that means that you're only involved because your pee-pee get hard when you look at her, as if porn isn't the most accessible it's ever been in human history. Why would I be a whole ass stan of a book if the only good thing about it was sexy women in the book? It
don't make sense.
It's just so dumb, but it was hilarious. I can't help but point out how many people said, this art looks good, this looks great, this looks fun. I've been hearing so much about it, I'm gonna go ahead and back it next time they do a campaign. One dude straight up said he bought the omnibus. For all their rabble-rousing and bitch-fitting, all these guys did was grow the audience for this book that they hate so much. Which is par for the course, because that's what always happens. These people hate something so much and think something shouldn't exist. So they talk about it incessantly, which only puts more eyes on it, which inevitably leads to people being interested in it, which means, guess what? It's gonna get bigger. So congratulations, you smooth brains. You played yourself. And that's all I got to say on the matter. Thank y'all for watching and listening. Be sure to check in the next time I drop some random bullshit about whatever the fuck's going on in my world. I'm gonna try and have the next newly produced video be something other than Twitter shit. I don't like when I have just like back-to-back-to-back videos about Twitter shit, because at the end of the day, it's Twitter. I've already given it more attention than it deserves. But let me know what you think in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe, all that good shiz. I'm HoneyB, and I'll talk to y'all later. Deuces.